So Paul is responsible for a wide range of business critical functions at the NA, including the estates, facilities, security, IT, operations, corporate and strategic planning, and human resources. So very similar to Alison, actually. The National Archives is a non-ministerial government department and the official archive and publisher for the UK government and for England and Wales. So in effect, they are guardians over 1,000 years of iconic national documents. So I'm now going to ask Paul to seamlessly start his presentation on things that you've done and so forth, whilst I try to share your presentation. Over to you.
Thank you. Good luck. So yes, thanks very much for asking me to join. Good afternoon, everybody. As Anne quite kindly said, I have quite a lot of responsibilities here at the National Archives. I'm also very fortunate to live next door. So I've been in the building pretty much throughout lockdown, running the essential services team. As you can imagine, with public records that have to be retained in perpetuity, looking after them and keeping the building safe and secure has been quite important. So I've been very fortunate to be at my desk most days with a very small team. Just to put it in perspective, we're about 520 staff, and we're all about the public record, be that digital or physical. And whilst we had a number of staff who would habitually work remotely, we never all worked remotely at once. So it was a bit of a leap. Fortunately, we had made the decision some 18 months previously to supply everybody with a laptop or a hybrid. So pretty seamlessly, and I'm very proud of how the organisation swung in that week, just over a year ago now, pretty seamlessly swung to about 85% of our staff being able to work predominantly at home and some remotely. Naturally, we have some staff whose job is here in the building, and when it's closed to the public, they weren't able to work, and keeping in contact with them, those members of staff, was particularly important and particularly challenging. Our approach really was threefold. One was contact, the other was connection, and the third was compassion. And putting those things together, we felt had a good approach to well-being. We had a well-established well-being program before we went into lockdown, but all of those courses, and indeed all of our learning and development courses, had to be converted to online, which we did pretty effectively. So thank you very much, Anne. So there is that's what I was talking about, which is our approach really is that continuous connection between contact, connection, and compassion. If you can just move on one slide for me, Anne, please. There's a very quick screenshot of our staff intranet. I know Alison mentioned that they have one at the college. Really useful for that 85% of staff that can connect with IT. And as you can see, it's got guidance about coming back to the office, about working remotely, and health and well-being, etc. So that's just a snapshot. If you could click on one slide for me, please, Anne. So in terms of contact, and I'm not going to bore you by reading the whole list, but some of this stuff we were doing anyway. But some of the things that we branched into that we'd never really done before, which was video calling. So we'd made limited use of video conferencing, and then suddenly we found ourselves in a wholesale well dealing with video conferencing. And again, it's remarkable, isn't it, how much we learn when necessity calls. We're now working very effectively, predominantly on Microsoft Teams, but other systems are available if you like. But we've also taken to video messaging, which again we didn't really do. We were very much a present organisation. So this includes Jeff, our Chief Executive and Keeper, pre-recording messages to staff, pre-recording messages to winners of Team of the Month, and just basically directors and line managers keeping in touch through that means. We have a private YouTube channel, which we've made extensive use of. Stuff like a camera showing the front of the building with the fountains running, which staff remotely found remarkably therapeutic, I think. It made a few of them homesick, but that worked really well. And I guess really importantly, we have this emergency text messaging system, thanks to government, called Notify. So we're able to push out the really important messages and only the important messages to all staff. And and also some of our volunteer population as well, who also registered their mobile numbers with that system. And that's been really useful to reach those staff who don't have a daily IT connection. Can you click on a phone for me? So that's all about communication. And as I said in my lead in, they're inexorably linked, these things. So connection is a real thing. We have some staff, I would say a good proportion of staff, 70% of staff, who have not been in the building since last March. And so retaining connection with an organisation such as the National Archives is really important. We have always had a strong TNA community, and it's obviously challenging keeping that going. And it's not all about business. One of our most popular online items has been the pets wall. We've had to take it down and store it a number of times because it was growing so large that it was going to start bringing the system down. But equally, we've had all sorts of online staff engagement, mainly set up by staff for staff. So recipes, discount lines, what game are you playing this month in terms of video gaming and console gaming, just some of the examples. We've always had a regular catch up with exec team meetings physically on site, and they've always been quite well attended. 120 staff is considered to be a really good attendance. And staff come to hear what we have to say, but it's always quite quiet when we get to questions and answers because it's quite an intimidating environment. Doing those online as a Teams event has revolutionized catch up with exec team. The last one we had 2 weeks ago, we had 286 members of staff attending, which is nothing short of remarkable. And the ability to ask anonymous questions on Teams means that we've had some tough questions to answer, some really great questions, and that's what, as an exec team, that's what directors really need. So that's been hugely successful, and that's recorded as well. So staff who aren't able to join live can watch a recorded stream of the catch up with the exec team and can follow up with questions if they don't feel that their area was covered. And that's been really important to keep staff connected with what the archives is doing. And it also allows exec team to talk about what we're thinking. So in other words, to share our working. So rather than trying to be the polished exec that delivers strategic decisions, is to say, look, this is really difficult. We're really struggling. We're struggling with this. And these are the things we're talking about. And actually opening up like that has been hugely beneficial to us and also to staff. We've also then had what we've called organizational moments. So this is where we've video live streamed certain events and also provided recordings. And these have been hugely successful. Remembrance Day wreath laying ceremony, when we were actually, I think we were open to the public at that point. I think it was on a Monday. We did a short wreath laying session in our front entrance hall, just the boss and I, and that was hugely successful. We read the names from our war memorials each year. We also had big thank you videos from managers and directors that were pre-recorded, thanking teams and for their work, which were run in the run-up for Christmas. We switched on the Christmas decorations, which was slightly sad when there was only a few of us in the building, but the online switching on of Christmas lights went down very well. And then just recently, we said farewell to one of my colleagues, public engagement director, in a streamed farewell ceremony, which again had a high number of attendees. And then compassion. We've tried to be our usual compassionate organisation throughout, and we've tried to get everybody to accept that everyone's situation is different in subtle ways or very obvious ways. Everyone has dealt with this situation in a different way. Everyone has different cards to play, if you like. We've encouraged everybody to look after each other and to be kind to each other. We've been flexible to make allowances. So during the winter, we'd encourage people to take time in the middle of the day to walk and then log back in later if they really needed to finish a piece of work. And we've really driven to reduce bureaucracy and increase autonomy. And that I think has been one of the key things that has really helped staff. And then the great leveler, hasn't it been the great leveler? Viewing into each other's homes and lives, the cat sitting on the keyboard, the kids sitting on the boss's lap telling him mum said that lunch is ready, has been a real leveler. And I think it's been really, really good. We've had 2 members of exec team who have primary school children as well. So they've really felt homeschooling burden and challenge that a lot of parents have felt. And just very quickly, some examples of some of the wellbeing initiatives we've run. We had some managing mental health during COVID sessions run by Mind Richmond, which was superb, and they were run for managers and for senior managers, for managers and for staff. They were very well attended. We had a TLC Lions event, and if you haven't heard of them, have a look them up on the internet. Jan Power from TLC Lions gave an event last week. They had over 200 attendees. And as you can see, sleep workshops, stress awareness, able futures, financial well-being, all of some of the examples that we've tried to improve staff well-being, retain connection, and demonstrate compassion. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much, Anne.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you so much. Really, really interesting. Thank you.